Aubrey, do you have a great English pronunciation?
I think that I do. We have gotten feedback that we have a really good pronunciation. We speak very clearly. So thank you, everyone
Yeah.
who has written in telling us that. And it's important, right? You must have clear pronunciation.
Yeah. So today, guys, we are going to tell you how to get Band 8 and Band 9 for pronunciation on your IELTS speaking exam. First of all, I want to give a shout out to a student, Sergio Serrano. This person squeezed his IELTS preparation into just 3 weeks, you guys, and they got an overall 7, including an 8 on speaking. And I can tell you 100% that a big part of getting that 8 was having a high pronunciation score. So, guys, today's advice matters. And if you want to check out the same system Sergio used, go to allearsenglish.com/KEYS. So thank you for Sergio for telling us about your great results. All right, super cool. Uh, what are we talking about today, Aubrey?
Yeah, so we're diving into pronunciation. We got a great question from a listener about this. And I love, Jessica, that we're not even sharing how to score a 7 for pronunciation because your speaking score for pronunciation should be an 8 or a 9 to boost
Totally.
your average. This is a very doable score for everyone out there if you know what to be focusing on.
Exactly. And stay until the end of today's episode, guys, because we are going to tell you the number one thing that helps you get the 9 for pronunciation. Okay. So stay until the end of today's show. All right, cool. So can you read the student's question?
Yeah. So this question said, I was listening to this podcast at midnight. It's really useful. I love this, first of all, that this listener is listening at midnight. I do this sometimes. I have insomnia. I'm up in the middle of the night. I'm going to listen to a podcast for a little bit.
I
So I
know
have this in
I
common here.
I love this detail. Like, guys, when
I
you write to us, support at allearsenglish.com, write to us with your IELTS questions. Share these interesting details with us. I just love picturing someone listening to our show and just being motivated to prepare for
Yeah.
IELTS in whatever time you have, right? Because you have to
Same.
fit it in.
Yes, I love this. And then they said, you are lifesavers. Thank
Awesome.
you. And awesome idiomatic language. And then they said, I wonder if you could do a podcast on pronunciation and how we can make our pronunciation better. And this is
Yes.
Mubashir 327. Really good
Yes.
question.
We have talked about pronunciation before on the show, guys, because pronunciation is the category, the easiest category to increase your score in. All right. So hit follow right now so you don't miss another episode. But scroll up, search for IELTS Energy 1245, 4 tips for Band 9 pronunciation. So in that episode, guys, we talk about assimilation and elision. And I'm not going to explain those now, but just know these are features of connected speech, which we will talk about today. But definitely go back and listen to that episode. All right.
Yes,
Um,
this is one of the things that you have to be doing to get that band 9 pronunciation. Make sure you have those features of connected speech that native speakers use. So yes. All right, let's dive into first the scoring system because you
yes.
guys need to understand exactly what the IELTS examiner is listening for in your speaking answers in order to give you a band 9 for IELTS speaking.
There are a lot of misunderstandings about the pronunciation score. I think a lot of you guys might assume that you have to have like no L1, no first language accent, right? You have to sound exactly like an American or a British person or whatever, any native speaker, in order to get a 9 for pronunciation. But you don't. You don't have to have a quote unquote native speaker accent to get a 9. So, what do we need? First of all, let's talk about an 8, okay? And then we'll talk about a 9. And then we'll give you guys 3 big tips for getting this 8 and 9 for pronunciation, okay? So let's define an 8. What is the examiner listening for to give someone an 8 for pronunciation?
All right. So first of all, if you guys look at the band descriptors, what is the examiner's looking for? A wide range of phonological features to convey precise and or subtle meaning. I can
Mhm.
imagine you guys have looked this up and read this, and you may have just said, not sure exactly what that means, so I'm just
Right.
going to do my best to speak clearly. It's vital that you do understand what this means so that you know how to practice.
So what does it mean, Aubrey?
So, phonological features are all of the sounds that you're making during language, right? Connected speech, the individual phonemes. And are you making the right phoneme? Are you switching it out for a different sound? And the examiner's listening for all of those things that a native speaker does pretty naturally that you
Mhm.
often will need to practice to make sure that you are making these phonological features clearly.
So when it says phonological features to convey precise or subtle meaning, those features are mostly like the stress and intonation, the slight variations of our voice that we use to convey emotion, to convey important information, to emphasize, right? So we're going to give you examples of that in just a minute, but that's what that means, right? So not just getting all the sounds correct, but using the tone of voice, the intonation, all of these things we can control that show meaning besides just the vocabulary words, right? How do we show meaning with our voice? All right. Other features of a band 8, you have consistent rhythm, which is just having the right stress, having the right sentence stress across long utterances, right? And then also the last thing here, accent has minimal effect on intelligibility. So here's the thing, guys, you can still have an accent, but if it does not get in the way of me understanding you, then it doesn't affect your score. Okay? That is I think that's one of the biggest takeaways today, guys, is that you can still have an accent as long as I can still understand you easily. It's fine.
Yes, in fact, your accent is endearing. The
Yeah.
average American loves talking to someone with an accent, someone who, is speaking English but who comes from somewhere else. Your accent is beautiful. So really, the goal shouldn't be to eliminate your accent, but should be to speak clearly, to enunciate clearly so the examiner can understand your message and can also hear your beautiful accent.
All right. So what is the difference between band 8 and band 9 for pronunciation, Aubrey? What jumps out at you to be the biggest difference here between 8 and
Yeah.
9?
So some of the descriptive language, right? Whereas 8 told us we need a wide range of phonological features, 9 says we need a full range of phonological features. So
Mhm.
that may seem like, a very tiny difference, but the examiner is looking for less mistakes here. There may and more variety in how you're able to convey expressiveness and intonation as well as these different phonemes as your speech is connected, that you have a full range of all of these features.
Exactly. And band 9 descriptor is the only one that mentions specifically connected speech. Okay. So this tells us that this is a very high level skill to acquire. And we're going to talk about that at the end of today's show. All right. What is this connected speech? And what is one thing you could do to show that you can exhibit connected speech? Okay. So yeah, the main differences, right, is that an 8 uses a lot of intonation and stress to show emotions and feelings. An 8 still has a little bit of an accent, but it does not it barely impacts my ability to understand you. Whereas a 9, right, always uses all the phonological features, is very expressive, uses connected speech, and the accent has no effect on intelligibility. So that means at 8, you can still have your accent and it might get in the way once in a while, but I could still understand everything you say. And 9, you could still have an accent, but it never gets in the way of me understanding you.
Awesome. Okay, let's dive into how you guys can prepare for the IELTS exam. Once you understand what you need to do in order to get the score that you want, you should be able to get a 9. Definitely an 8, hopefully a 9 on pronunciation score. What do you need to do to prepare?
Okay, awesome. So, if we're looking at that descriptor can be easily understood, accent has minimal effect, right? The way you can accomplish those goals is to first listen to a recording of yourself speaking English and identify the phonemes or the sounds that are incorrect, probably because of your first language. So maybe your first language does not have the TH sound. So when you speak English, you say s or duh or t instead of the TH sound. replacing those phonemes with the wrong sounds, guys, that impacts intelligibility. That gets in the way of me understanding you when you are saying the wrong sounds. Okay. So that is the first thing, guys. Identify the English sounds that are difficult for you, maybe because they don't exist in your first language. Watch some YouTube videos on what our mouth does to produce these English sounds, and then drill. Get a list of words with these sounds. Say these words out loud again and again to practice perfecting those difficult phonemes.
Exactly. It's not enough just to know what the difficult sounds are. You have to know what your mouth needs to do because this is a sound that's difficult to make from how you grew up using your mouth to speak your first language.
Totally.
This takes a lot of very conscious effort. You need to like identify those sounds. Like Jessica said, YouTube's a great resource to discover what I need to do in order to create that sound. And then it just is a matter of drilling.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. So how do we accomplish this feat, this vague this vague goal, which is it's difficult to define. How do we convey subtle meanings with intonation and voice? You know what I mean? Because it is individual to everyone. I mean, guys, you're listening to Aubrey and I every week, twice a week. We don't speak the same. We convey emotions in different ways, and you, listener, are going to do the same. But you have to know your options. How do other people do this? Try out these different ways. So the best way that you can experiment with this and discover your own voice so you can convey subtle meanings the way you want to is to mimic or shadow native speakers. So Aubrey, how can we do that? What is mimicking or shadowing?
Yeah, the best way is to take about 10 seconds of a YouTube video, a podcast, something where a native speaker is using interesting intonation. Don't pick like a TED talk that has monotone, right? You want someone who's expressive. You can hear emotion in their voice.
Mhm.
And then listen to about 10 seconds and then pause it and repeat back that 10 seconds exactly as you heard it. You're going to hear this native speaker give space to words that they emphasize, and you'll hear
Mhm.
their tone going up and down and
Yeah.
changing. It's not going to stay the same. And that's what you want to be recreating.
Totally. Guys, think of a celebrity that you like, that you enjoy the way they speak, you enjoy some of their performances. Find interviews on like late night shows with these celebrities, okay? That's when they are naturally themselves, but they're also still performing. And that's what you have to do on IELTS. Yes, you have to be your natural self, but it's also a performance. So, look up like Conan O'Brien or David Letterman or, Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel. Those are all the ones I know. Look up some clips of people being interviewed by those guys and mimic those actors, mimic those celebrities in those interviews.
Awesome. I love that idea. Make it fun, right? Choose
Yeah.
something you also enjoy listening to. So you enjoy this mimicking, right? If you got to do it, you may as well find something that's fun for you to listen to while you're doing it.
All right, Aubrey, time for our number one way to get a band 9 for pronunciation. What is that number one recommendation?
Yeah. So connected speech, right? This is vital if you're going to score a band 9. And just knowing what it is isn't going to be enough. You will need to practice it. You're going to, for example, you're going to figure out words that natives link together, right? This assimilation. For example, if I'm going to say know it, I know it. It sounds nothing like that. I squish them together and I say, I know it, right? It's a new sound we're formed because we are blending the sounds in these words.
So yeah, there are rules to connected speech, which makes this, I think, easier to understand and improve as compared to the subtle meanings with intonation and voice, right? I think connected speech is easier because you could study it. There are finite rules here. So again, go back and listen to IELTS Energy episode 1245, because in that one, again, we talk about two rules of connected speech: assimilation, when two sounds blend to form a new sound, and elision, when sounds get dropped. So, like camera, for example, we don't say camera. No, we drop that E. We say camera. Okay. So, go back to that episode to hear more about assimilation and elision. But now we want to talk about the easiest rule of connected speech, which is linking. So, this is when One word ends in a vowel, the next word ends in a consonant, they become one word. Or one word ends in a vowel, the next word ends in a consonant, they become one word, right? So Aubrey gave an example of know it becomes know it, or even do it, right? Do it, or work at. I don't say I work at All Ears English, right? I don't pause between words. No, they become one word when I'm talking. I say I work at. I work at All Ears English. Okay. So that's one of the easiest things to practice. You could just read out loud and actually mark the connections on the words on the page and make sure you are saying them together as if they were one word. It will change, it will revolutionize the way you speak English.
Yes, and as you're doing the mimicking and shadowing, this will happen naturally because whoever
Yeah,
you are mimicking is going to be using all of this connected speech. So that's sort of a bonus skill where you're going
totally.
to be practicing connected speech as you mimic.
Yeah, the mimicking really improves everything of
Yeah.
pronunciation, guys. So that's our takeaway today, guys. Try to find a late night interview on YouTube with someone that you enjoy listening and watching and mimic them, okay, to improve your pronunciation to that band nine.
Awesome. I'm excited for you guys to get a band 9 on your pronunciation score. This will boost your overall IELTS speaking score so that you can get the score you need on test day.
Awesome. All right, Aubrey, I'll see you on Friday.
Awesome. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.